Legend Slytherin Trumpet.
Give them to me.
10. Welcome to the George Rockall-Schmidt show with me, Mouth, joined today by the hand that flushes the toilet, Damien. How are you doing, Damien?
I'm doing okay for someone that interacts with the outside world.
Is flushes the toilet, is that too direct? Should it be sort of more metaphorical than that?
No, I think...
The hand that vanishes.
I think it's
something.
that quite succinctly surmises all the stories that I've told on this show. And that flushes the toilet.
Not even the hand that flushes. Specifically toilets only.
Yeah, at work. It's not really... It's not a story caked in shit, but it is toilet related. Very quick. We have a small staff room.
Oh, good. Straight in there.
Yeah. One of those toilets has been down for a long time. Well, they haven't been down. They just have toilet seats that aren't affixed to anything. So if you're going for a shit, you're going to be slip sliding around. You're going to be all over the place. And
sorry, what? They're not fixed to anything.
No.
So they're just toilets that.
Well, they were
like
but
loose porcelain, and people are just like going on them and just shitting and just then like using the toilets as like bumper cars and just. But like Flintstones bumper cars with their own legs, propelling them forward, and their own.
Oh yes, no, I have to pedal,
and they're just smearing shit behind them.
The cistern is gear activated, so you have to pedal it like a bike, on the floor.
Oh right,
as you expect your material to be kind of vacuumed away slowly.
So wait, so is there like a front end to
no,
this,
it's
like
a
car,
conventional.
or are you?
Oh, sorry, we're talking. Yeah.
Is the cistern in front of you, or are you pedaling backwards?
No, you're pedaling forwards, but
like, what are you using to ram people with? Surely it's the.
It's not a mobile toilet. We haven't. No. This. They won't listen to my $1 million idea.
When you pedal, the room moves.
No, you've got a gear system that obviously.
It's like a Jamiroquai video where it's just a toilet in a room and the walls are moving everywhere.
Yeah, we all operate out of a small basement because the upper 4 floors are tantamount to a huge aircraft hangar where this toilet snakes around the room for 5 minutes while you take a shit.
All the tourists, all the European tourists who come to London are like, the Tower of London was all good and everything, but have you seen the clockwork toilet?
And there was that one guy who wouldn't get off the toilet. He loved it. He kept.
That was you, Hans, and we're banned because of you.
I'll never tell.
Fucking French.
I'm sorry. Oh, man. Well, that's infinitely more interesting than the story I was going to tell.
It's just something about a toilet that isn't bolted to the floor.
No, the fixture itself is bolted to the floor, but the toilet seats, for whatever reason, weren't bolted to the toilet. So if you sat down on them, you'd have to kind of... Granted, they were kind of small kind of cubicles. You'd have to kind of right yourself with your hands out either side just to make sure you were centered, because, if it was a spicy child, or if it was being stubborn and you really had to push, you'd be surprised kind of how your body will shake you kind of left to right. With a seated a toilet seat fixed correctly, it absorbs that kind of those movements. But something like that, you may as well be on an ice rink, and before you know it, you're on the floor wiping that fucking steaming mud monkey all over the walls. It can't be done. It's a bad time. It's been like that for a while, but they decided they would just, rather than fix it, and they didn't board it off. They just kind of gummed up the lock with gaffer tape so no one can get in. It's been like that for.
Right.
They've feigned to fix one of the toilet seats, and just basically get a couple of fitting screws and just screw it back in, because that was a problem. It wasn't a shattered toilet seat or anything like that. But one thing they didn't care to look at was a door handle that had been looking a bit gammy for quite a long time. And I found myself a couple of days ago going to take a shit middle of the service at our busiest time, and it's only when I sat down and I was kind of halfway through the deed that I noticed that the toilet handle had completely broken off. It was good. As soon as the door had shut, it was completely flush. There was no way. There's no way for me to actually activate the door mechanism. So what I had to do was I had to call up my manager and ask them to release me from the bathroom. But of course, what you fail to realise, it's the busiest time of the night, so I have to. I don't get through to anybody on the first phone call. It took me the better part of 15 minutes of frantically calling people from the toilet, begging them to let me out.
And despite all that, when they did, you still owed your pants around your ankles.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I was going to make them pay for this. In fact, I didn't flush the toilet. I fished that shit out and threw it at them.
He was holding it there like as an offering.
I launched it at them violently.
I mean, listen to you, la-di-da toilet seats. Have you never, like, been in a situation, possibly in a nightclub or something, where you've, like, you know, you're there for hours and you're drinking, like, all this sugary shit, and you just, eventually, you need a shit, and it's not going to be a good one. It's not going to be, like, the type of shit you can just put in your pants and then, ooh, quickly go near a public bin, pants down, hands in, poof, gone. No one saw it, and if they did... What did I do? I put a turd in a toilet, in a public bin. Is that a problem, officer? Sorry. I didn't want to walk around with shit going around my balls.
What is this, communist China? Fuck's sake, man. This is a free country.
It's 50-50. Depends if you get a good cop or not. But, yeah, have you never been in a situation where you had to, like, bust into the toilet? You see the toilet seat is covered in shit and cum. So you just have to, use your... I mean, I'm assuming you're wearing sandals, so you just have to use your big toe to just flip the toilet seat up and then slam, because you're drunk, your thighs onto the porcelain so that your arse is like 2 inches above the fucking grey water there. That, in the army, is what we call danger close.
No, I see.
When you can have a shit and your arse is so close to what you are shitting on that it, like... You know what I'm saying, don't you? I don't even have to finish that.
You're so close to the fucking bowl itself that your turd doesn't break off. It starts to snake around a Mr. Whippy style. And you're like, why am I not... Why am I dirtier than I've ever been in my life?
Well, no, it starts to just... Instead of pushing out, it just starts to push back up until it gets into your brain and you end up as Joe Rogan.
Oh, I mean, no, I've never. I'm not one for sitting on. I'm more of a squatter myself. If I see a toilet seat that is unsatisfactory, I'm more prepared to just kind of hover myself. Apparently, it's good on the lower back. The only problem is it's a dangerous move. To facilitate that, you're gonna need some pretty wide knees, and it requires a full-on
wide knees.
Yes, it requires a full-on.
You mean like it's going to be an
drop.
advantage if you have bow legs?
Well, if I take a shit, I'm not really pulling down my trousers past my knees.
People who have dwarfism.
Well, they're out of luck.
Advantages behold.
If I was a dwarf, I'd simply stand on the toilet seat. It's fine, you know. I might even like kind of mount the system reverse styly and just kind of drop from there for fun.
If I was a dwarf, I'd be a burglar.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And what would you burglarize?
Rich people's houses. I think.
Preferably
mainly.
ones with doggy doors.
Yeah.
So there's no skill
And
involved. It's just really dogging that fucking that height advantage.
I'd dress as a dog.
Ooh.
I'd observe their house for a couple of days and I'd dress as a dog and then get in and then, like, I don't know, either make friends with the dogs, give them some treats or something, or, I don't know, give them some sleeping pill-laced steaks and then, yeah, just start, going for the jewels and everything. And then, when the mum gets up in the middle of the night to get some juice or something, I'm just there, just walking around like, oh yeah, good boy. She's half asleep, she doesn't know.
Okay.
I'm sniffing her ankles while she's doing it as well. It's a whole bit.
Piss on the tumble dryer. It's absolutely... So with this, I presume this would have to be like a multi-dog household,
fuck,
right?
It's not a dwarf. It's my head superimposed onto a baby's body.
Good lord. So what, a singular... It'd have to be a multi-dog household, right? You couldn't just be friends with a dog, because they'd be like, what's this other dog doing here? You'd have to, like, surely supplant one of them. in Trap 1, skin it, use its hide to assume its place.
Yeah, I was just about to say this is going into Johnny Five territory now. It's just Johnny Five walking around with like the skin of this Dalmatian that covers like an eighth of his massive metal frame, and the mum's just like
hulking
hey,
over the housewife, yeah, like 8 feet tall.
Input. Yeah, I thought that was meant to be the future of the military.
What, Johnny Five vacuuming him out? Entrails are very.
He was meant to be a soldier bot, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. He'd be right alongside Sinjanor as well. It's Ultimate Warriors that are absolutely useless combatants.
So basically, if they both come at you have to run upstairs in the rainforest.
No, run upstairs with like a water pistol. I believe.
Yeah, couldn't Johnny Five fly though?
Well, he had a hang glider. I didn't, so that's.
So he could, if he could gain purchase somewhere and use his magical computer thinking to chart the zephyrs, then he could.
Yeah, but if it was kind of
potentially glide his way through your window.
Yes, but if it was the flatlands, then he's on foot. There's no way he's becoming aerial at all.
Right.
This is why I fucking.
So basically,
like
what we're saying, so the Sinjanor Johnny Five survival guide says: take water, maintain the high ground.
No,
Johnny Five is at a significant disadvantage if you have height over him.
Or speed.
You're not above throwing rocks at Johnny Five.
What kind of speeds did Johnny Five used to clock in? I don't imagine.
Oh, quite fast. I seem to remember there was a terrifying bit where he was hunting down somebody who'd snatched a purse, and he was like going over mailboxes and stuff at 40 miles an hour. Like, they were like pedestrians just getting like trampled under him.
Did they
like squished like he's a tiger tank? Like he's like 400 tons.
Yeah. Did the Lost Lobos equip him with like a cow catcher or something? I can't remember, or is that just me?
Definitely a net thing.
Just a large spike,
He just ends up as Robot Wars, where he ends up fighting Matilda.
Which one? The only one I remember was Sir Kill-A-Lot, and there was kind of one that looked like it was like a giant, like kind of what would you call it? Like it's like a stag beetle, just
robot. Yeah, that the like there was one that was like a rhino stag beetle with a chainsaw.
I thought it just had
tail.
like
that was Matilda,
right, okay.
And then there was Sergeant Bash, which was the one with the flamethrower and pincers at the front, and he was my favourite because it was like, who'd give a robot fighting robots a flamethrower? It's like if I gave you, like, oh, Damien, there's some humans over there, take this fucking magnet. I mean, what the fuck is that?
It's the latest in Nerf technology.
It was like this flamethrower was mounted on this robot in such a way that even if the flames had been able to do anything, they were only, it was so high that it would go over any other robot. There was one robot I saw that someone had basically converted a stand-up vacuum cleaner.
Right.
And Sergeant Bash had a right time with that, burning the fucking fur coat off that. But
maybe they were
seeing
seeing if...
pointless. So he was my favourite because he was like, why do that? Give him a better
I think
weapon.
it's, they were baiting the competitors to play the meta game here. It's like, if you were going to really go after it, you knew that whoever was playing Sergeant Bash was just going to go to the drive towards the pits and flame those motherfuckers. You would never go near because you knew that at a second's notice, because it was really just kind of like a loose net, right? So easily...
No, there was definitely like bulletproof glass.
No, fuck that. I want to
there.
believe it. I want to believe it's a net and you can definitely get toasted through that.
Like sand discs in your eye and stuff. Yeah, we're talking about Robot Wars, by the way. I guess sometimes I forget people listen to this. So
I seem to remember
Wars.
like
It's
circular.
People make robots in their garages and then fight them.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun.
It was, because some people made some real shit.
Real shit.
My favourite, I remember, was someone was doing an Egyptian-themed robot called the Scarab. I can't remember what its weapon was, but all it ended up looking like, it was a flat design robot, but they had some kind of like, was supposed to be, I don't know, like some gold leaf kind of like plating, something supposed to be austere with some hieroglyphics on. All it looked like was a piece of cheese on toast. I just remember Sir Kill-a-Lot just running it over in like the first 20 seconds.
I remember you get like, yeah, I mean, all the novelty ones were obviously doomed from the start. And I remember like, I can't remember what the robot was, but it was like a robot that someone had made, some dad, and they're like two 8-year-old kids. And like, yeah, in the first 20 seconds, they hadn't just like defeated this robot. Sir Kill-a-Lot was using its pincers to cut it up, and it cut to this kid's face. And you cannot look more sad without fully crying. It looked sadder than crying. It looked like he was so sad he would never be able to cry again. This little kid whose like eyes barely came over the fucking counter.
Well, this robot must have
and Sir Kill-a-Lot just crunched it up, like you will never fucking use this robot again.
What Sir Kill-a-Lot doesn't understand is like he doesn't live with his father at all. In fact, he's been estranged for many years. This robot was supposed to be a bonding experience that was supposed to bring them together for life, and it was chewed out in minutes. Mm-hmm.
What Sir Kill-a-Lot doesn't understand is all of that was the dependent factor in the father's parole, that they had this bonding experience. So he's back to jail tomorrow now because of this. You were meant to be in a robot tournament. You got, what is this? You're not in a robot tournament anymore. Back to jail for you. 20 years. So Kill-a-Lot did know all that. Yeah. That's why he did it.
Yeah, I always thought the credit sequence was a little bit harsh when you saw those fathers being dragged away in chains, but...
Craig Charles in a toga just giving the thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't have
I decree death.
If there wasn't any legal precedents to take him away, then it was just to the Colosseum.
Yeah, the first few series of Robot Wars was better because it wasn't all fighting. Do you remember when they would have the first thing you had to do was go through an obstacle course?
No, I don't remember this at all. I didn't watch it religiously. Yeah. I kind of catch it in passing, and it was always it was just melee kind of furrows and shit like that.
Yeah.
So what were there was an obstacle course. See if you can't jog my memory. What was on this course? Was it like Mousetrap?
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous, and there were zones where the house robots, i.e. the extremely overpowered robots, could get you if you strayed in, but they were kind of restrained. And I don't know, like, what would there have been? I mean, I guess ramps and like, can it clear? What's its clearance? Can it clear it? I mean, it was not like it had to go underwater or anything. It was more like a sequence of events where people who like hadn't mastered
mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. I think it was more just like they didn't get a trial run or anything. It's like, which way is my robot even facing? Go. And then so many people just drive straight into the pit.
Yeah, I mean, there must have been a degree of technical knowledge to kind of build something remote control. But it always puts me in mind of of one of the...
That's why it was always savage, because you knew it had taken people like a lot of time to make these things that were just getting murdered.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe there's kind of like a sort of starter blister pack or something like that, where you just get a remote control frame. Because it always puts me in mind of like a Lego set that I got as a kid, which was a remote control car, right? So basically, you had like the remote control car like base, and then you built the car on top of it. So, I mean...
You just had the base and then you built like a sex palace on there.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the first day I built like a real car, and I seem to remember the box came with like, the box it came in, it had loads of like cutouts and stuff like that, so once you were finished unpacking it, you could turn it into its own little kind of obstacle course and stuff like that. It was kind of... It was way too sensitive, and I seem to remember it would just kind of fly all over the fucking place. But yeah, after the car was done, I just built like the most offensive like tower on it I possibly could, and send it careering down the hallway to the kitchen just to piss off the dog, and least of all my fucking father. Well, because it would be like, it'd be like 3 feet tall and like 200 pieces, and as soon as it would go, it was like kamikaze strike, as he's cooking, and I'd pick out these pieces as I'm eating it later,
Pieces of Lego. Like, so was it like? Did you have to make your own like gears and stuff? Was it
No,
one of those
no,
sets that came with gears?
No.
Because I had one of those, but it was donated by a bigger boy.
Oh.
Like a I don't know, like a family friend's son who was like 10 years older than me had this like really good looking like Lego car set, but half of it was missing.
Right.
So I had all the cogs to make stuff, but invariably I'd just make walls of moving cogs.
A gearbox that wasn't really a gearbox. Yeah.
I mean, the way I would play Lego blocks, is I'd either be building something, or if I was going to play, like with a car, like when you see a kid playing with like a toy car, they're just moving it backwards and forwards and like imagining the road. You don't really need a whole road or anything. There's no point of putting remote control stuff on Lego because the house I've built is tiny compared to it. What am I going to do? Just drive it around in a circle?
You can look in through the window and just imagine.
Yeah. I guess there must have been a cross, but in terms of how Lego wants you to play with it, from building to, playing it more like dollies, right? Because I remember like the early Lego stuff I had was all like build a house, build a ship.
Yeah.
Just one-off things, like build a house with no furniture or anything, just something that looks like a house.
It's definitely gone in that direction. I remember in that direction. I remember sets.
And now it's all like play as Indiana Jones and pretend to bum this other one. And, use your pirate sword to cut off this Lego piece's arm and then fuck it with a broomstick.
Yeah, it's always...
It's all that, isn't it, Damien? Isn't it?
Yes, I mean, have you not seen those Lego movies and video games? It's very blue.
As Will Arnett not made himself clear, he loves it.
I mean, Lego as a franchise grew up as much as I did. It's definitely for fucking adults now. My God, it's fucking filthy. Now, you can put those tiny little pieces in places you wouldn't even imagine.
Your ass, for instance.
All right. Well, it turns out you don't need that much imagination, but I didn't want to be explicit because I'm a gentleman.
Why don't you get one of those nice one blocks and use that instead of a contact lens and see if you can get that behind your fucking eye? Why not do that?
Are you baiting me or the audience here?
Anyone, get some Lego and put it in your eye.
You're not like behind it, but just under one of the eyelids. That's fine. You'll be able to fish it out if anything goes south.
If it works its way behind your eye, that's fine.
We've got doctors. It's what they do.
So, tell me about Brandenburg Airport. Damien went on holiday.
Yes, I left the country for the first time in a couple of years.
La-dee-da.
Yeah, I'm not that well travelled. I know you talk about how many airports you've seen in your life, but I regard this Brandenburg Airport.
Boy, have I lived.
What?
Boy, have I lived.
I know. I'm very jealous. Well, no.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been in airports. I've been in airports on 5 continents. The only thing I've ever seen different in an airport is in Cuba. They had a smoking room, like right in the middle of, where the actual gates are. They had a smoking room, and it was essentially a room in a room. A room within that hallway.
Yeah.
You would walk right past it. It was 3 walls were glass. It was just a waiting room where you could smoke, and it was like the scene in Independence Day,
right,
where the aliens in the test chambers and they can't see anything because it's like full of gas, and occasionally you'd see people like come up to the window with like a full-on cigar. Like I've never seen like smoke, white smoke as opaque as that. You couldn't see to the other side of it.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's not interesting. I'm just saying that's the most interesting thing I've ever seen.
Well, there wasn't much in general interest. I noticed on my journey into Berlin, because I think they've been trying to open this airport for like the better part of the last 10 years, and they've retired their other airports, so it's just Brandenburg now, to my knowledge. The first thing I noticed, which wasn't it's not really a huge thing, is when you got to
What was the other airport? Do you remember?
Schönefeld, and there was also Tegel as well. Tegel's been closed for a while. I didn't ever see that, but Schönefeld is what I used to fly into, and they've
Right.
closed that now. Well, that was perfectly acceptable airport. I think it was quite small, so everything was pretty swift when I would go there. But there you go. I don't. It's our first time kind of traveling in Europe after the UK is officially out of the EU as well. So the first thing I noticed at passport control when I flew in there is that when we got to passport control, there are like 12 or so desks and what have you. 3 got allocated for EU passengers. I noticed that all 3 of the EU desks were manned, and maybe 2 of the non-EU ones were manned out of an available like 8 or 9 plus for the better part of 200 customers, passengers. Sorry, I don't know if that.
So you're saying they were punishing you for leaving?
Potential. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I mean, all I noticed was that I saw 3 people that could quite easily be, shuttling us through the rest of those barriers, just dicking around on their phones, while like 2 dudes who looked like they couldn't have given a flying fuck, slowly marched people through this thing. It took me about an hour to get through, and just through that alone. That's not even before we get to fucking baggage control. Not really why I hate the airport. That's just something I noticed on the way in. I quickly forgot about that because I enjoyed my holiday. But when I got on my way back, we had the big terminal entrance where you have all the check-in desks and what have you. And I got there nice and early because I generally tend to do that so I can dick around in duty-free and relax. I find airports...
And drink.
Well, I find airports stressful if you're pressed for time. Beg your pardon. So I got there checked in early, but all the check-in desks are very, very close to security. But so the entrance to security are these big wide mouth things. You can see the long queues, the queue lines that people are supposed to be fed through till they get to the individual points where they'll get checked and what have you. For whatever reason, they're pretty close to the check-in desks themselves. So there's probably maybe like a 12-foot clearance between this. And for whatever reason, I presume some kind of security alert, but they wouldn't open that at all. They wouldn't let anyone through security, but they didn't decide to let anyone even queue for security. So you have, I don't know how many fucking flights that you just kind of let back up there full of passengers, just congregate outside where these queues were supposed to start. I don't know how long it was closed for. I knew that I was waiting for them to open this, just the queue lines for at least 45 minutes. And when they did, rather than try and expedite anything, because the point that they opened it, we're talking like maybe 500 people just in a huge crowd. Everyone's irate. They knew the second they're going to open this stuff, it's just going to be a scrum, and people are just going to push, however, just to get into these fucking things. I thought I was okay because I was pretty close to the barriers to get in. You scan your ticket and what have you. As soon as I do, and everyone at this point is like kind of pulling you back and pushing you this, that, and the other. Turns out I was in the business line, so that I couldn't do that at all. So I joined another queue, which was like fucking 200 fucking feet long, to a place that I'd passed before, what have you. And I joined that and what have you. Halfway through, they said, "No, you're not doing that. There's actually another desk in another building over here. How did you not know?" So obviously no information on what's going on. They clearly didn't have the facilities to kind of backlog people like this. And apparently when they did condescend to say, "Look, there's another desk around here that's been open for all this time. It's in another building adjacent with no signposting." And it's clearly, I don't know how they're designing this fucking thing, but there was nothing to tell you this at all, and no one seemed to give a shit. Like fucking almost an hour into this fucking bullshit. I mean, I gave myself a couple of hours, but I imagine some people were on the verge of missing their flights, and probably fucking did at this point. It took me, close to about 90 minutes when all was said and done, because by the time I reached the available open security desk, the queue was so fucking long, it was another 45 fucking minutes. That gave me maybe like fucking 10 minutes to get to duty free. No, that's an exaggeration. Maybe about half an hour, something like that. I dick around. I had to pick up.
You still got in there early?
I got not early, early enough, but I was asked to pick up a couple of things from duty free for a couple of people, so I did that. It didn't give me any time to kind of sit down, maybe have a drink and relax and what have you. So it kind of went up, so I kind of rushed towards the gate, what have you. And I saw something that I personally have not seen in an airport before. After going through security and check-in, I found another passport control desk. And at this,
what?
Yeah, so I mean,
so you had to go through two.
I had to go through two, and I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that either.
I'd given myself like 15 minutes to get to the gate from where I was, only to find.
So you shit your pants.
Basically, yeah. I saw this, and clearly another half an hour fucking queue. Again, there was an EU desk that was kind of fully manned, 2 people, and the rest there were 2 guys to get everyone going back to the fucking UK on the 7:30 flight and what have you. And then halfway through, one of these motherfuckers just like takes off his little fucking bomber jacket and says, "No, I'm done." And he sits there fucking dicking around on his iPhone, just says, "No, look, you can't, because look, this one's closed." Doesn't leave the fucking booth or anything like that. Fucks off to say, "I'm on a break." Just sits there doing nothing. Well, there's like 100 people just losing their absolute fucking minds. We're all on the same flight.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "No, we're not going to do anything. We'll just fucking march you through." They knew that everyone had checked in. They were in the airport and they're being hung up here, so they delayed the flight. But fuck knows, no, it was absolutely fucking dreadful. Never seen that before, and that was fine, absolutely fucking fine. But the real shitstorm was when I arrived back at Heathrow, because one of the things that I travelled with for my holiday
was my gun.
A few syringes, you know. No, I travelled with
bit of smack.
I travelled with one of my guitars. I was going to see my uncle, and we talk about this. You know, he's a guitar player as well, and we talk about this stuff all the time. I've relatively recently bought quite an expensive guitar, and I wanted to go show it off, so I'm bringing that with me. I had no problem going out there on the flight. Booked it on, fragile items, cargo, all that kind of stuff. Did the same here. Only when I get to the other side, I'm at fucking baggage control for about an hour waiting for it to come through, and nothing happens. I had hand luggage, but I had one piece of, hand luggage, so I just boarded the guitar, that was it. Everything else I just put in the overhead and what have you, so I'm just stood there, nothing, absolutely fucking nothing, and I have to join this fucking queue, customer service, with a couple of other people from the flight, and I'm hearing the same fucking stories, like, where's my fucking stuff from Brandenburg? And if my turn comes up, it's like, yeah, they didn't load half of the cargo at Brandenburg. They could, for whatever reasons. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's I can see people getting upset in front of me, and it's like, dude, you've lost pants and a toothbrush. For my sins, I've just lost like a $2,000 fucking musical instrument. I'm like shitting myself at this point. One thing that did happen out on my holiday is I had my watch, which is a gift from my nan, many years ago. It's quite it's a relatively expensive watch, but the strap broke, one of the pins, so I couldn't wear it. So rather than put it in my luggage, I figured, since I had no problem boarding any thing, I just kept it in the guitar case with various bits and bobs there. So not only am I losing something of incredible financial value, at least to me, something of immeasurable sentimental value as well. And this poor woman who could see I had fucking murder in my eyes, who was very calm and professional. I give her credit. I didn't pop off her at all, but I was so fucking testy. She's like, well, we know it's going to be either in this airport or that airport.
What? They don't even know what airport. Oh my god.
Oh no. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing. She obviously specified, and it's like, it's going to be one of two places. We have no evidence of it being here. We'll just have to kind of log your case, and we'll get back to you, this, that, and the other. And fortunately, my mum's boyfriend is engineer for BA, so he kind of dropped what he was doing, like went and checked everything kind of behind the scenes, as you were, and he could kind of confirm that.
Well, that is fortunate.
He can confirm that it wasn't at Heathrow.
Right.
But they did find it later on. They just had a. Obviously, the baggage comes out, and obviously consignment of cars and what have you, and apparently 2 of them, they just didn't have the time to load. So they just decided not to, was the issue. And it's like, what the fuck is up with these people? I don't know if the people who board the cargo are are stuff, if it's stuffed by the airlines or the airport. So I don't know if these were BA's people that kind of work on stuff there, or if it's just Brandenburg. But we had to delay the flight half an hour because most of the flight didn't realise there was a second passport desk right at the fucking gate saying, no, we're not going to let you leave the country without your papers. It's like, that's what I thought was really fucking baffling. I could get why you have that when people are coming in, but we're trying to fucking leave. Do you not want us to go? But
yeah, going through two seems really weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't see what if I didn't. They'd already checked it at 2 stages at that point, a third. So I don't know what it's supposed to achieve, really, especially when you're trying to affect egress from a country.
Yeah,
but it gave the airport more time to fucking board the luggage, and it's like, I absolutely don't know. So we had arranged to do this a week ago, and I thought originally it's because I had to stay and do my day 2 test, which turns out is fucking horseshit, by the way. But I had to kind of just sit home and stew in my own juices, waiting for this fucking phone call that they may or may not find this fucking thing. So absolutely fuck Brandenburg in every available hole, because I don't know what it is, if it's staffing issues, organisation or what, but they clearly are not meant to be open for another fucking 10 years. It wasn't, I mean, the facilities weren't shoddy, but the fucking people behind it and the organisation was like unlike anything I've seen in an airport. And it was, undid the work of a good holiday, really, because I came back absolutely fucking wrecked. Fuck those people.
When I first came to America, I think it was in like 2013, I came to New York, and the security were like really hostile.
Right.
And I went up to the passport desk, and they wouldn't speak to me. And the guy was like gesturing for me to like put my hand on a hand scanner, and I was like, "What?" And he was like getting mad at me because I didn't understand what he wanted me to do. He was like making the gesture,
right? But
I'd never seen one, so I ended up doing it. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing on your story or anything. It's just that it was like I've been through several times since then, and it wasn't like that. It was, it just seemed, I don't know, for whatever reason, like extremely like, ugh. I mean, thank God my name isn't Abdullah, I guess. I'd have been turned away a couple of years ago. Do you remember that?
No, I don't actually.
You don't remember that? Some British teacher who was a Muslim,
right,
got turned away in 2017.
Oh, so it's quite recent as well. Right, okay.
Yeah, it was after Trump.
Jeez.
It was because of the so-called Muslim ban.
Yikes.
They say. I mean, he was British. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, when I say he was British, it wasn't like he was a Moroccan person living in Britain. He was like, "Hello, mates.
Apples and pears. Apples and pears. How's your father?"
Like, and they asked him as well, "Are you a Muslim?" Like, what the fuck is that going to do with you letting me into your country? So, what would you say to that? Are you a Muslim? I dabble.
Only on the weekends,
Yeah. Only for Mosque Fridays myself.
No, I'm thinking about Hajj, but I don't know.
Synagogue Saturdays.
I've got a different religion for every day of the week. Mosque Mondays,
What would Wednesday be though?
I have no idea.
Wakanda Wednesdays. That's a religion too.
It is now.
We believe in science, damn it.
Oh, the other thing that I thought was worrisome as well is I thought when I got to Heathrow, it was like, all right, I'm a UK citizen. Passport control here will be fucking breeze because I have, you've got the easy pass desk where it's just all electronic.
And instead they were like, why the fuck were you in Germany? What the fuck do you think you were doing in fucking Germany?
Well, obviously it scans your passport and the photo on file, and then does a Face ID thing. And it just wouldn't recognise it because of the beard. And I was like, I just thought at this point...
You have a beard?
Yeah. And I just thought...
Well, why do you say it like that? Like I'm meant to know you have a beard.
I have a beard.
I haven't seen your face in many years.
It's very hairy now.
Oh.
Is the correct reaction. But as soon as I realised what was up, it's like, oh, it's because it's quite long and shaggy as well. I just assumed sirens were going to kind of drop from the ceiling. It's like, come over here, Sonny Jim. Are you really British? I did have to join another queue in the end, and then the guy had to do a double take checking the photo. I was like, you fucking cunt. Everyone else checked the photo.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay. It's obviously the same dude, just scruffier. Ah, dear. It was nowhere near as problematic as I thought, but I
don't know. You know, right? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know any better, I suppose. But I would have thought that if you had the resources and technical ability, or access to the technical ability to fake a passport in a way where the passport looks completely legitimate, it's just, do they look the same? If you can do that, surely you can get into Britain without going through passport control. Right?
Yeah.
There are private planes coming in all the time. Surely you could hide on that.
Yeah.
You could pay someone. Surely you can get there by sea. You know, if you took a speedboat from fucking Holland to Britain, what's that, like an hour? You can land anywhere. You can land on one of Britain's many, many beaches. You could land hundreds of people and start just unloading loads of drugs and pay off the facilities at Dartmouth.
Yeah, just put them in like scruffy beanies and bomber jackets and say they're all crab fishermen, you know. We're going to Billingsgate now.
Like thousands of them walking through.
Give them one crab each so it looks legit, you know, it's fine.
One crab each?
They got to have the merch.
They're all in like identical dungarees and everything.
Every crab has a balloon of heroin where its brain should be.
Yeah, and you're specifically just trafficking in Vietnamese women as well. So it's all these tiny Vietnamese women who've all got like fake facial hair all over them and stuff to make them look like grub fishermen.
There we go. I mean, I hope no nefarious types are listening to this, because we've given them a golden idea.
Do you know what makes a lot of money? Trafficking people.
From Holland.
From Holland. That's where they are. There's loads of people in Holland.
So if you can get them to...
It's all about supply and demand, Damien. You take a place where there's loads of people, where aren't there any people, right? So think about it, right? Asia, Southeast Asia, 2/3 of the world population live there. Get them over. Do you know where wants more people? Texas. They're crying out.
Yeah, okay.
Specifically non-whites is what they want. They're always asking for that.
I believe it's like the credo of the state, is it not? Bring in the darkies.
Welcome is the credo of the state. I mean, why not? You know, what's the credo of the nation? Land of the free. Give me your fucking tired and hopeless and poor. Fuck off.
Oh,
better have a fucking visa to get in here, mate.
Have they ratified it now? So it has to fuck off on the end now.
Fuck off. That's what's in the Statue of Liberty's book. It just says fuck off on it.
The Statue of Liberty now has sunglasses on as well.
Also, when I went to New York, through New York the last time, I think it was the last time. It doesn't matter. It was in a queue, waiting, and passport controllers, American, non-American, and then someone walks past from the airport, and someone says, "Oh, is there anywhere I can go that's quicker? Because I'm Canadian." And the person's like, "Oh God, you don't need to wait with these people. Come on." And gets them into like the American thing, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense because it's a country next door. You've got this huge border and everything. Your neighbours. There's going to be people coming in and out all the time. Just like Germany and France and Belgium, they don't really need to have border controls. I mean, it's all really just right next door. Why would they do that? I remember thinking that and then thinking, Jesus, this is all retarded. Like, Canadians can come in, but like the idea of like if you were a Mexican, the idea of saying that I'm Mexican. Can I just jump to the head of the queue? I'm Mexican, so why would I want to come in here and outstay my welcome or anything? I don't know. Like, what a fucking broken place this is. I mean, all of the world, really.
But you're in a place that seems to typify a lot of those stupidities. Why are you still
Oh
there?
yeah, not you though.
Oh no, the UK is a shining beacon.
A bastion of logical thought. Yeah, how is the UK? Because I saw something the other day that said UK gains compared to losses in terms of import-export after Brexit are 1 to 168. And yes, I have multiple relatives saying the shops are bare.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, not completely bare. Like, we can eat, but just not, can't eat anything fresh. All the produce that we in Britain are so used to, all the British peppers.
Yeah,
all rotten.
I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but a lot of the stuff, at least at work, massive shortages. But you think that on a.
But Damien, you work in a British restaurant. I mean, surely most of your items are like toast sandwiches and things.
Eggs. Yes. But they're French chickens, man.
Wait a minute, this isn't the full menu. Oh, you want the eggs menu? Slam. Eggs any way you can possibly fucking want them.
But we only do it one type. Scrambled.
Yeah, just eggs. They're not chicken eggs or geese eggs or anything, just any eggs.
No, in fact, it's all
just
bluster.
egg powder.
I don't actually work in a restaurant at all. It's just a dairy supplier. I just don't have the balls to come out with it. No, I'm a grocer. That's absolutely fine.
Grossing. Grossing isn't racist.
That's got to be the cold open for the show.
Yeah. So, the stuff at your work.
Well, no, I don't know. No, I think I mentioned it before. I'll keep it brief, but nothing is kind of.
The Ritz, is it called? Name and shame. The Wolseley.
The Wolseley.
I shouldn't say that.
Well, no, that's like fucking 5 years ago. They're not gonna give a shit. I mean, I'm not shithousing them. I've done that many years ago. I'm sure people some people must have connected the dots if they really gave a shit. I mean, I did kind of shit mouth.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone's listening to this like that.
Nah.
I got a comment the other day saying, "Have you guys ever seen Frasier?"
If not, you should check it out.
Yeah, it's really very funny.
No, yeah, that's all that stuff. I was shithousing a lot of a restaurant that may or may not, its name may or may not rhyme with Slackcock over the last year, but I won't name the one that I'm currently working at because I believe, because they try to build themselves they're trying to build themselves up on like social media. So if they ever find anyone using the hashtag, they will check if it's stuff and if it's legit. But somehow, even where there have been cases where people have been disciplined for like taking photos inside the restaurant, even though they're not portraying anything kind of untoward or saying this, that, and the other in one way or the other about the restaurant. It's like, yeah, you can't be doing that without permission. So they'll definitely be
Damien,
listening.
I know that what I'm saying to you is public, but if they ever do anything like that to you, I would be more than happy to step in and use my social media clout for evil.
Oh, well, I mean, I keep the photos. I'll pass them on to you, and you can just put them on blast. Absolutely.
This restaurant's hygiene standards are poor. Hashtag name of restaurant.
Oh, I mean, if not for nothing, but
it's just like a picture of a foot.
Creeping from beneath the cubicle doors.
No, I mean, is it that bad? I mean, you've described thing again. I don't want you to get into trouble or anything, but you've described things in this. I mean, I don't want to say expensive restaurant, but it is a restaurant. It's not Chipotle.
No, it's a restaurant.
You've described things in this restaurant which are pretty gross sounding.
This one's it's not too bad. It's definitely a step up from the previous place I was working. I'm quite happy with that, but it's far from perfect. Yeah, Slackcock. May or may not rhyme with Slackcock. I did hear about that restaurant quite recently. I told you on the day of an inspection from the EHO, because the managers refused to get the induction, the canopies cleaned above the grills, what have you, which obviously filters out all the smoke through like fucking 4 flats, what have you. They all got backed up and basically smoked out the building, which was like a couple of dozen residential places. So it flushed out the fucking street.
So it had apartments above
yeah,
it.
Yeah. And it was all very embarrassing, and it was the EHO witnessed it all firsthand while we're supposed to be they're looking for like rat shit and stuff like that, which granted with everyone
Capers.
flushed out, it also flushed out the EHO. So I imagine that a couple of people going around with dustpans and brushes just to make sure.
Quickly.
And we all complained about that. It's like, well, what the fuck is going on? That's like incredibly negligent. Why are the EHO not fucking busting us for it? Which they didn't. But I did hear quite recently that the head chef had to go to hospital and now is not allowed to work anywhere near a fucking grill for the rest of his life because his lungs are so fucking...
By order of who? By order of the Queen. The Queen's like, you're done cooking.
Well, I mean, on doctor's orders, basically. He was in the hospital...
On doctor's orders? What?
Yeah.
Why, is he super flammable or something?
He's basically, I don't know, some kind of like acute asthma attack or something like that, but his lungs are so tarred up. And it was something coupled with his... because of how it was kind of polluting his blood, he's ended up with a bit of a bizarre heart condition because of it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, it's really grim. It was touch and go for him, the poor bastard.
Okay, see, I'm sorry. I thought when you said he's not allowed to go near a grill again, I thought it was because he did something stupid. or like, he served he served the Queen, and the Queen was like, this is the worst cheeseburger I've ever had. I'd get better at...
That's why the Queen needs rest now, these days. It's why the Queen is on bed rest now. Because
she ate that burger.
Absolutely.
And her, like the whole thing about Queen Victoria saying to the Royal Artillery, like, you let me down, so you have to wear this white bandolier in the colonies for 100 years. Like that. Like, the Queen's like, with my dying breath, that man is not allowed to cook anymore.
Just not allowed to grill.
I know it's not legal, but it's my will.
He can prepare a salad. That's fine.
You can put him on benefits. I'm sorry, I don't even know where I'm going with any of this.
No.
I mean, that's for the last 12 episodes. I think we're on episode 10.
I'd already run out of
cashback
material
with that
half a year before we fucking resurrected this shit. No, yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what fucking legal kind of standpoint that restaurant's in now, but they knew that they had been neglecting that. It's obviously been fucking flooding that kitchen with smoke and God knows what kind of fumes or what have you. And this guy was working like 70 hours a fucking week, just bore the brunt of it day in, day out, and he ended up so close to fucking death. I mean, fuck that place. I don't know, yeah. They haven't shut the fucking restaurant. They've just got someone else to step in. It's like, I wouldn't fucking step foot in that fucking place. I knew it was a shithole. But they have the proof, black and white. It almost killed someone. All they had to do was basically keep up with their basic cleaning regimen. Just get for something like that, they'd have to just hire in a couple of guys, and then a morning's worth just fucking flushing this stuff out, and it works fine. But they just didn't want to do that. Too fucking cheap. They didn't want to close a restaurant for like a lunch or something like that. Because if they do it, then there's nothing we can do, nothing we can cook, and that's obviously money down the fucking toilet while they're spending money on workmen. So instead, it's like, no, fuck it, we'll just keep pressing on. And now this guy's he's fucked for the rest of his life.
Yes, it seems. I wouldn't say it's especially a London thing, but it seems very London. Like, when you move into an apartment and you can tell that they stopped painting it like an hour ago, like it's still wet.
Mm.
And like you're meant to air this out, guys. Like, I'm not really meant to sleep in a room.
Just open the fucking windows. Don't be a pussy. Come on.
No, I got the brain damage.
Ah.
So do you have any ideas about movie mashups? Because that's what I said the podcast topic was about. But obviously, who cares? I'm not going to name it after the topic even or anything. So
no, it's just going to be.
I just thought I should say this bit so that people understand that we're talking about movie mashups for a reason. If indeed we do have anything to say about that.
I mean, I thought of one which, but granted, one of the movies I haven't seen. My dad's told me about this.
Oh, good.
And I don't need to see it. I'll mention the title. I don't think you'll know exactly what the movie is. immediately.
Yeah.
But my dad told me about it, and I was fucking shocked that he told me he'd sat down and watched this. It was Hotel for Dogs.
Right.
I think it's like a Disney or DreamWorks thing where basically you've got kids trying to save like a rec center, but this time it's like a dog pound or some shit like that. But I wanted to see that mashed up with another movie that he frequently talks about in a bizarre way, and that's John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, The Thing, right. So what? So it's The Thing, but like dogs, and they've got to work out if each other's the thing.
No, I imagine it's Hotel for Dogs, and you've got these little 8-year-olds running around going, "Oh, we've got to save these dogs!" But every
What is Hotel for Dogs?
I'm just going out on a limb here, but from what I would gather, judging by the title, it's some hokey kids movie about I think they have like an abandoned house, family house, what have you, and they just end up taking in loads of dogs after some kind of personal family tragedy or something like that. And I'm going to guess the crux of the story is going to be that someone says, you shouldn't be taking in all these dogs and looking after it. This isn't right. We're going to shut you down. And then they have to have like a big benefit concert where the dogs play in a rock band. And then like everyone, they...
So the nuisance neighbours can remain.
And they've got enough money and they can stay. But all the neighbours that, really hated it at first have enjoyed the pleasant sounds of this doggy rock band. And now I've come round, and now everyone loves the dogs, and they all stay and live happily ever after, forever. It's not like a real dog band where...
You want to sort of make that into The Thing babies.
What I want is these kids running around being smug and self-satisfied, and in the back, every one of these dogs up to their dog-like antics. If you look closely in the background, one of their heads drops off, and it starts to sprout into a fucking spider. And I want that in every fucking scene. At some point you see...
Oh, and it cuts just before the kid realises what's going on, so it's implied that the kid got thinged.
Oh, no. What they choose to do with the humans, I don't really care. I just want in the background, you just see like a dog going to... What looks like it's going to take a shit, and you just see like an arm sprout out of its backside, and it starts walking around, like kind of, It-styling, just by the hand, and rear up. I want body horror in this fucking hokey story for kids, all right? And I think if you see a pug dividing into two and growing like a secondary head and with ideas to eat an 8-year-old child, it might spice it up enough for me to check it out. I know why my dad checked it out.
I think we could both agree that body horror and probably a little bit of softcore pornography is exactly what Woody Woodpecker was missing. And if it had, would have been the best film ever made.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, it is the best movie ever made. I didn't have any problem watching that movie. I didn't protest that at all.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Oh man.
Okay, I like it. And then how would it end?
Well, see, the thing...
Is there an opening for a sequel?
Perhaps, because the reason I thought it'd be a good marriage with The Thing would be because, first off, my dad checked out this movie because it's full of dogs. For all his sins, he just loves all things dog-related. And apparently it's just really... It's kind of porn for people who just love dogs when they're cute little antics. And that's what it's all about. You just see dogs frolicking. Not that he can't just like switch off the TV and look around him to find that with like fucking 12 of the bastards around here, but apparently he needs to see it on TV at the same time as well.
Yes, your dad's new philosophy is...
No, he has this idea about John Carpenter's The Thing, and he just, for whatever reason, it seems to dispel all disbelief for him when he watches it now. Not the fact that it's science fiction at all, and it's with this outlandish premise, but it's...
Rubber spider heads.
Yeah. No, the reason he doesn't buy that movie is he's like, well, if you've got this alien that can shapeshift and is obviously out to fucking take over the world, what it should do, right, is just, like, stay as a dog. Because if it did that, then everything would fucking love it. It'd just go back to the mainland, just be pampered its whole life. That's why I don't buy the fucking thing. And it's alright, it kind of started out as a bit of a joke here and there, but every time he brings it up, he says it with a bit more earnest and a bit more vigour.
I suppose
at this point,
maybe if it had stayed as a dog, it would have been able to penetrate human society, though, right? It would have eventually been taken.
Are you on his side?
Wouldn't it have eventually been taken back to? Well, it's not going to live the rest of its life on that
No,
that base, is it?
Well, no,
so
that
it
was
would eventually be taken back to, a more populated, not very cold place, and then it could do its thing.
Yes, I mean they do touch on that, but my dad's point is that this thing is not out.
Do they?
Well, they did talk about it in the movie. Yeah, that's why they sabotage all the communications so that we can't let this thing get out. It was just obviously going to sit and what have you and wait for rescue.
No, but I'm saying it could have just been the dog, and not just maintained itself as the dog, and then just I'm a dog. I'm a normal dog. Everything's fine. I'm a dog. And then wait until they take it back to, the big base.
So what the movie is just 6 months of these guys hanging out with a new dog, and then like the last 10 minutes of this movie, the dog obviously fucks off on like whatever transport kind of touches base, and they just start checking out all these radio communiques and news from the mainland that everything's going to shit.
Yeah, and they're the last survivors.
Oh, actually, I made.
The end. You leave the end on a cliffhanger where you see You leave the end on. The end is a cliffhanger where the dog prints out its own plane ticket to New York, and it's for MacReady, and it knows that if MacReady finds this, he'll take the dog with him, thinking it's still a normal dog. There's no horror, and you can hear what the thing is thinking. It's basically. What's it called? Go home. Go home alone. Alone go home.
I don't know.
Two dogs and a cat go in search of their family, or leave their family to go in search of treasure, or something. And you can hear their voices.
Family is the real treasure. That's what they learned along the way.
I don't think that's what it's called.
Fucking no idea. But it sounds like a million different movies. I don't know.
No, the dog's voiced and the cat's voiced, and it's all like, "Whoa, I'm a dog."
What's your point at this stage? It's a movie that exists.
The thing has narration over it where it's like, if there were other things, like imagine if the thing was a dog. When the thing thinks, other dogs can hear it because it's really set,
right.
Speaking. It's just they didn't want to do lip sync or anything.
Right. Okay.
The dog still barks, but then you hear what that means if it was a human saying it.
Right.
So the dog barks, and then you hear it go bark, 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 but then there's voiceover going, "We've got to rescue the children. Let's go to Syria," and then all the dogs go to Syria and get involved.
Okay. So, so is there any story about animals on an odyssey? What about Fievel Goes West? But Fievel is the thing.
This is your idea. I'm just saying about that's how you could have the thing thinking. So instead of there being horror, it's just the thing like watching them and going, when I get to New York, I'm going to start assimilating these people. That's all it really thinks about.
No, if we can have voice, it has to have a plucky, irascible wit, surely.
No, it has to be. Fuck, I can't remember her name. Audrey.
Audrey Plaza.
Yes, it has to be her voice through a synth.
Oh well, okay. Otherwise, it makes no sense. Otherwise, it wouldn't be science fiction.
Yes, that's fucking Audrey Plaza. I don't understand that. It has to be Audrey Plaza.
Yeah, we need to know it's a space dog.
The dog has to be Grumpy Cat.
Oh right, okay. So it gets to the mainland, morphs its face. What's something that everyone knows and will accept and understand?
Grumpy Cat.
Why does this cat have a dog's body?
No, the real horror would be if it was Doge. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's a cute dog," and then wah!
That's a very good point. Well, I think that's what my dad kind of would like point towards that, but he seems to kind of. I mean, one of the things about that movie is you don't never know its kind of motivations. My dad just kind of supposes that it's just there to kind of exist and then therefore live in luxury. It will like clock out that if it's a dog, it's always pampered, so it just goes to the mainland, lives on a velvet throw pillow for the rest of its fucking life. It's not about conquest or survival or some kind of instinct-driven need to consume or anything like that. It's a highly intelligent animal that just wants to be fed grapes. So
was its end game then to take over MacReady's body and like fly to a 5-star restaurant and check in.
No, according to my
Just
dad,
live in
fucking
hedonism.
Endgame was just to get 3 walks a day and lots of fucking milk bones, you know? It's like, you have watched the rest of the movie, right? No, as soon as the dog stopped being a dog, I don't want to watch it anymore. It's not real. Well, duh.
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, I like it. The Thing mashed up with something called Hotel for Dogs that I've never heard of, and you describe as a children's thing.
Thing babies.
Thing babies. It's Muppet Babies with The Thing. And they're all dying, and they're dead forever after that, and that's how we find the Highlander among them. The chosen one, the one who hid best.
You can see all his little buddies around him, all already assimilated. Just their heads have sloped off, and they're all sprouting little legs, just kind of scrambling around. This dude's there under his blanket, refuses to acknowledge them. At this point, they're kind of sick of his whiny little shit. They just leave him be.
Yeah, just to die.
Yeah. No, maybe not that. If my dad's presupposing that the Thing has some kind of higher intelligence, so maybe at this point they're just kind of taunting him. It's not quite as malicious as that. They'll let him go, but after they've kind of really dressed him down, they want to break his spirit, give him like a fat complex or something like that.
How is your dad?
He's absolutely fine.
Is he? Okay, I'm happy to hear that. How's the toilet?
I basically.
I
just got.
Doesn't get much use now.
Well, not this trip. No, I've just got in, so I haven't actually frequented the facilities yet. So I don't have any updates on that one. So I've given people some toilet news, but not the toilet news. So. Not this time.
Right.
They'll have to wait. That'll be for our Christmas special.
And obviously for As It Happens news and updates, you can check out our blog.
I've set up a Twitter.
Yeah,
My dad's toilet.
I think you should set up a Twitter and start using it like people used to when it first came out, where you talk about literally what you're doing. So it's just pooping.
At the hand that flushes the toilet.
Could someone possibly set up a bot called At the Hand That Flushes the Toilet and just set it so it's got like 5 tweets that it's just constantly... not constantly, but
every 4 hours.
A few times a day, it's just going through the motions of going to the toilet, defecating, wiping, washing hands, closing lid. And then just repeated forever. But tweet it at people. At Barack Obama going to the toilet.
Hey, you know what? Pooping. Did you know? Wiping. Oh, I hope someone runs with that.
Attention at Senator Cruz. I am going to the toilet.
It's 8:20. It's poo time. Rock and roll, baby.
Yeah, I've been debating setting up an Instagram for myself, where I take pictures of me looking hungover and shagged, and just put it out there and putting just captions about the influencer lifestyle, living it.
I thought this was the ugliest I could be until I took this photo. This is after a 16-hour binge.
This is after I shit myself through my eyes.
Moonshine was not my friend.
Oh no, that's no one's friend.
No. Was that stuff real moonshine that that we picked up from? Was it Family Dollar in the end, or they fucking off license across the road? Was it?
It's moonshine in that it's.
It came from a bathtub.
It's 60% spirit.
Okay.
Or whatever it is. What is it, by volume or the other one? I mean, so it's stronger than the usual, shot of whiskey or whatever. I guess it's like mezcal.
Yeah.
It's probably stronger than mezcal, really. But mezcal, also had that tinge of brain corruption.
Yeah, I mean, you could use that to, power a lawnmower or something.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
nasty.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was, but in terms of like illicit moonshine, no. I mean, obviously, it was just.
Yeah.
It's just a blended spirit called moonshine.
Okay.
But I've had moonshine that someone has made in a bathtub.
And that's why I've lost my vision.
Yeah.
We haven't seen each other in a while, and there's a reason for that.
It was like they gave me some, and it was nice. You know, it was like any other moonshine. Like if they hadn't told me I made this myself, I wouldn't have known. I mean, why bother? I guess, but maybe they're making loads of it. I think that's probably is the case, actually. Yeah, I think they had an extended family that they were probably like, you know how we can save money? Don't buy booze. I'll make us booze.
Well,
I'm not using that bathtub.
my dad had that same idea during the lockdown. Bless him. So he bought. I think he must have spent like 300 quid on like a gin still. And I told him like the day it arrived. Like, you understand that that's just an ornament, right? You're never going to learn how to use this thing.
A gin still,
Yeah,
right?
It's like this weird kind of, basically a smallish vat. You could probably get maybe like 20 liters or something like that in it. And you just kind of ferment your own junipers and shit in it, or whatever it is, whatever the process is. I don't know. I mean, it's been here for the better part of 18 months. He hasn't. Yeah, it hasn't even been opened. It just looks nice on the side because it's all. It's a big old stainless steel thing, nice and shiny. Gets to polish it. Looks good on the shelf. Not on the shelf. It's too big.
It's been years since I've been to the UK, but surely alcohol can't have increased. I mean, you could buy a bottle of shit supermarket gin for like less than £10.
Well, it depends on the volume.
I mean, that's got to be
exactly...
cheaper than making it yourself.
No. I think he just thought it would be like a project that he'd undertake, but alas, nothing came of it, and he just switched to the cheap supermarket gin. It's not less than 10 quid because he buys it at volume. He gets those 3-litre bottles at 20 quid. Delightful.
I've definitely reached a point in my life where I think I've come to the realization, rather than I've started to think, I've come to the realization that I don't like alcohol. I mean, more I don't like the taste of alcohol or alcoholic drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just at me like I'm an idiot. Like,
no,
I've noticed that the sun is hot.
I was listening intently. I was showing you some fucking respect, you bastard.
Bastard. Yeah, that's it. Just like honestly, like if you ask me my favorite beer, I don't have one.
Yeah.
It all tastes crap. Either too hoppy or it just tastes crap. Wine, like I can actually kind of enjoy like that's different and stuff, but
yeah,
I don't know. You know, it's like if you said to me, try these 20 different colas. They're all different. Like, I could drink it, I could enjoy it, but I wouldn't really want to.
Personally, wouldn't want to drink one, but yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to drink one. Yeah, I could, and that's sweet. Yeah, it's nice enough, but
yeah, I'm in the same boat for kind of different reasons, really. I mean, I don't have a problem with the flavors or anything like that. I mean, perhaps spirits.
I'm not saying I have a problem with the flavors. I'm just saying, like, if people were honest with themselves, like 95% of people would say, oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't touch this shit if it didn't get me drunk.
Yeah, we were saying that shit when we were teenagers, though. So like, we don't drink for the flavor; it's just to get pissed. I mean, where I am at the moment.
I mean, if I do drink something for the flavor, I don't drink fucking 10 pints.
Yeah. Well, there are more direct ways to get pissed.
Yeah.
Into moonshine. No, for me, I've just got to a point where whatever drinking kind of used to do in terms of like disinhibiting all that kind of stuff, has just kind of become boring. It doesn't really loosen me up like it used to. I like like the first one and kind of being a little bit of sedation, what have you. But in terms of getting pissed, it doesn't. I've done it enough where it's just. I kind of do. I'll do the same things. I'll have the same crap conversations that I normally wouldn't have. It's kind of. Yeah, routine to a point that's boring. It's kind of played out, and so I'll still. I mean, I'll still drink, but it's not anywhere near as much fun as it used to be.
Well, I think the responsible thing for me to say right now is it sounds like you're not drinking hard enough.
Perhaps.
I mean, if it's not getting you disinhibited anymore.
Well, it does,
to
but not in the kind of like fun
point where you risk arrest. Then you need to drink more.
Maybe I don't do anything
And
fun.
faster.
I just kind of start talking bollocks more so than usual.
And yet here we both are.
I know, not
sober
talking
as a
bollocks. You know.
Judge. They're sober people.
My name is Judge. My name.
I never knew they had such technology.
Tetracycline should not be administered.
Yeah, we even know what it is as well. Tetracycline. I wonder if that's meant to be tetramycin.
I have no
I
idea.
just didn't want to use the name.
What is tetramycin? I don't know that.
It's an antibacterial.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
You can give it to people, and you can also give it to animals to fight infection.
To deworm them. It's also a great cure for COVID.
Yeah. Did you read up about
I
that?
did, yeah.
The last time Damien and I spoke, I filled him in.
Woof.
In the US, some people have decided that ivermectin, which is a horse paste dewormer, is primarily meant for horses and to get rid of parasites, but it can be used in humans to get rid of parasites. Some people in the US and I guess elsewhere have decided that this is the real cure for COVID, and Damien could not believe this when I told him.
Yeah, I'd had stories of death
very
hole
funny.
and what have you. But
You what?
I'd had stories of like death hole and bleach and what have you, but I thought they were just the usual Trump kind of vagaries where he's just talking bullshit. But people, the fact that they'd adopted it quite with such, earnestness and vigor is it's just fucking bizarre.
And the way, I mean, I wouldn't even say the way it's happened or anything, but one of the things that I've observed is sometimes you'll see something along the lines of, like an online conversation along the lines of, it's horse paste, it's for horses, and someone will say, no, it isn't, look, and then there's like a link, and indeed, it isn't. It can be used in humans. There are human applications, but to get rid of parasites.
Yeah.
But by the time they're on, like, well, okay, you're right, but it's to get rid of parasites, and COVID isn't a parasite. That person's already admitted, like, oh no, I was wrong to begin with. When I called it horse paste, well, woe on me, I'm a fucking idiot. It can be used on humans.
Yes, but you don't have.
I guess what I'm saying is there's just a complete lack of nuance, and I suppose really a woeful, well, again, but more than that, like a woeful just drought of critical thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the things I got to read up on is the fact that it does invariably cause sterility, and I think we touched upon the fact that, well, this could be just natural selection working its magic a little bit. They're really gonna.
I thought it was variably causing sterility, depending on how much you take.
Yeah. Well, it seems like these people are doubling down, and it's a safe bet they're going to do it until their cock
I
drops
better
off.
squeeze this entire thing into my mouth.
Yeah.
This thing with a picture of a horse on it.
It's horse-sized doses as well. It's like a giant suppository.
Yeah, yeah, how did we get onto that? I don't know. But I know when I told you, you couldn't believe it, which I found hilarious. Because when we talked about it, it had been something that has been in the media and been talked about online for quite a few weeks already.
Yeah.
But then you tell me things about Brexit and the situation in Britain, and it's like news from the front being exchanged with news from the front. Not that I want to say like I'm on the front line of anything, but it's just like it's interesting watching decay going on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of felt frontline when with that petrol crisis and fucking
people were coming in to get burgers off you so they could mash them up and put them in their car.
No, just everyone brandishing machetes outside my fucking house. So what the fuck is this all about? It's like we need to power our fucking scooters. No, I told you about this. I think, yeah.
But not about machetes.
No, I mean I'm exaggerating, but they were. I'm sure
They
some
were
of them
more like butter knives. The plastic knives.
Yeah, but it's
get
dark.
sometimes.
You know, you don't know quite what it is. You're not going to fuck around with that.
Yeah, you just see the gleam on the blade.
Exactly. It could have been a spoon for all I know, but you can still do some serious damage with a spoon. You know King Lear? Fuck that. No way.
Popped his eye right out. I think actually, if you look at the canon Shakespeare, it's an ice cream scoop.
A melon baller would make more sense.
Yeah, that's how he got it out. You know, he got it around his eyes and then
just popped right out.
And then his friend Mercutio went, "No, Hamlet!" And he went click and closed it and popped it right out.
Oh dear.
And
he was on. His friend was on standby with a pair of scissors.
Mercutio was like, "Just one scoop."
What are we going to do about that optic nerve? It's just kind of hanging there. I want it in my hands, man. Hands!
Do you want to flake in that, love?
Someone passed me those safety scissors. They're not so safe anymore.
But then the safety scissors break off, so he has to essentially use the scissors as a kind of saw.
Damn it, man! These are left-handed!
Oh, God. Left-handed scissors. They need to put warnings on those.
They should just burn them. I stand by that.
Yeah. Any more movie mashups?
All right, Tremors, but all the graboids are George Costanza.
And are they like sentient, or are they still just like these? Basically they're just big worms, or are they George Costanza? He can see and be reasoned with.
I mean, you couldn't reason with him anyway, but no, definitely sentient, but he will still kind of, that gaping maw will snap open and those little tentacles will come out with tiny little George Costanzas on the end.
And how is he propelling himself through the earth? Is it just like his bald head being used essentially like a massive drill, but like not moving at all?
So it's like a jackhammer.
Vibrating and...
I was going to say he swims like a swan through the earth, but no, I quite like that. Well, so his head is kind of like working like one of those like muscle massages that you see that's kind of like punch really quickly and just softens the earth that he just kind of sifts through.
And so it's George Costanza and then it's Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward as the two ranch hands trying to get rid of him. But the guy who really gets rid of him, instead of the gun nut, it's Seinfeld. And he's like, okay, you got a Costanza problem, right? I'll help you out. He's got all these guns. and then the rest of the film is like, in this film, there's going to be hundreds of worms, right? Because we're going to see George Costanza's head explode 100 different ways.
Well, that's the joy of the movie, no?
This is what it looks like if I shoot it with an elephant gun.
Yeah,
I didn't want to break this baby out. This baby's a rocket launcher I took off an Apache helicopter. Just obliterated. like they're blowing up other baby George Costanza worms when the big George Costanza worms are still raining down from all the C4 they've been throwing at them. They've got like millions and millions of dollars worth of explosive gear in Seinfeld's hut. Like Seinfeld's been waiting for this.
I want to believe that when they have to identify what this threat is, because you've got the classic stingers at the beginning and what have you, and when you've got the grad student coming out, measuring everything on the seismographs, they're like, what are these things? I want them to go through that, absolutely the same, but they just have a shot of like 200 yards away, just a regular sized Jason Alexander just writhing in the dirt, just wiping fucking sod all over himself, and that's when they discover the threat. Obviously but with enough that he's thumping around to actually kind of read out on these machines.
Obviously, the grad student who I forgot existed until you just mentioned, that's Elaine. Right?
Okay, so I will say, if that's the case, then Walter Chang will have to be Kramer now.
Kramer isn't in this, and you know why. He did it to himself, okay? I can't have that fucker on set, right? The liability will not cover it.
Yeah. Cancelled.
Cancelled. Well, yes.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know who else was fucking cancelled, right? Do you know who else was cancelled? Never charged. Kevin Spacey.
Oh, fucking hell.
Why don't you see him in films anymore?
I like the fact that
apparently you do.
One of the last things... I mean, well, he can't seriously still be working. I haven't been keeping up to date with that.
No, I told you he's doing that film where he plays an artist wrongly accused of a sex crime.
Really? And this is,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's been directed by like
Bryan Singer.
Someone who would it's been directed by someone who would have, wouldn't have had the opportunity to ever work with someone as famous as Kevin Spacey at this point in their career. It's clear from the billing and the size of the film what this is. Yeah. He's disgraced. It's this is it. If he's going to be in films, he's going to be in shit low budget films.
Yeah. Okay.
About how he's not a fucking disgusting piece of shit.
Absolutely.
I guess.
Yeah. I remember.
Speaking of which,
no. Before I remember seeing an article about something that I think it was Spacey, a movie that he'd obviously done, but it was released after the scandals kind of broke, and it was the reason it was a piece of tool was like this movie had a relatively wide theatrical, at least statewide, nationwide in the States. And it like pulled in less than $200 across the country in its opening weekend.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
No, I can't remember. This was a few years back now, but I do remember. I think I sent the article to you when I saw it. I thought it was quite funny and righteous.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But what I did notice, I thought was quite nice. Obviously, they had that movie that they scrubbed him out and replaced with Christopher Plummer. But one of the last things I saw promoted, granted it was probably like a couple of years beforehand, that I noticed that I'd see Kevin Spacey's name on the side of anything like a bus, what have you, was 9 Lives, where he's a talking cat. That was one of the last things he did before he was shit canned from Hollywood. Definitely on the way out in one way or another. And I've only seen like one clip of that, and it's just laughable. You see a shot of a cat that looks like Mr. Muffin, some kind of Persian something or other, luxury fucking something or other. You just hear Kevin Spacey's voice. Oh my God, I'm a cat.
Kevin Spacey is a carrot. I will tell you my idea.
Okay. Oh.
Harry met Sally. Those two people go back in time.
Okay.
To like the 60s and 70s to prevent Woody Allen from molesting children.
Why Harry and Harry met Sally?
They think they can. I don't know. I just thought they'd be interesting people to try and talk him out of it.
Yeah.
And tell him it's wrong and stuff, and then like over the course of the film, by the time they decide that they're going to kill him, he it's kind of revealed to them that this isn't actually something he's struggling with. He has this whole moment where he's like, "No, you don't understand. It isn't a compulsion." No, that's it's too weighty. Yeah, it just comes out basically that he's into it because he knows it's wrong.
Right. Okay.
So they decide that they're going to kill him, but they're not killers. They're not psychopaths or anything. This is going to be a hard thing to do. It's just,
we have
all these little kiddies and everything.
Yeah.
So that's when, at the end of the film, they get someone else to do it, and that's when it goes into Leon, the professional.
Oh, okay.
Right, and then they have to convince Leon to leave that little girl alone. Right?
Okay.
Marilyn Monroe dance, that is not appropriate, Leon. And here's why.
Have they brought Woody Allen with him to this time, and he's just there at the back rubbing his hands and licking his lips, maybe? It's like, you see the problem we have over here.
They haven't got round to murdering him yet. He's just in handcuffs.
No, they're just travelling through time, rounding up pederasts, but they're doing nothing about it. They're just putting them all in one place.
No, their idea is that they're going to go through time rounding up pederasts, and then they're just going to take them back in time and then just put them there before human beings
They've got to get back to San Dimas so they can present their reports on pederasts through time.
The dean is like, I don't understand. How come you've chosen to bring all of these influential pederasts back through time? And that Bill and Ted
you
are
brought
both
them to a
like,
school, no less. You must
Bill
have
and,
flipped
Bill
your
and Ted are
lid.
both just like, it was just a coincidence. We just brought famous people back. They just happened to, the ones we selected just happened to all be paedophiles and pederasts.
This is terrible work you got. Well, you say that, but have
And
you seen
that's when
Jim
it
will
turns
fix
into
it?
Bowling for Columbine. All right, I'll shut up.
Yeah, special guest star Eric Harris.
Special guest star Michael Moore.
Oh yeah. Okay, I like that. So all right, they go back to kind of reason with Woody Allen. You've obviously picked Billy Crystal because he has a witty repartee. He's a charismatic man. If anyone's going to convince him to, lead a better life, it's going to be this man.
I agree.
But how about a scene where we have Woody Allen in a doctor's office where they're going through a brain scan, and you can see that Woody Allen's been growing quite an aggressive brain tumor on the frontal lobe of his brain. It's like disinhibiting him. So he's lived his whole life, with a regular, normal sexual appetite. But since this thing has, grown there, he's just finding himself like inexplicably attracted to children. He knows it's unusual. He knows it's not been him his entire life, but he can't help but acknowledge that's how he seems to feel now. He himself resents it, but he can't fight what his nature as long as this thing is growing in his head. So we've got we have this.
Yeah, so they find this brain tumor, and what's the question?
Well, the question is, we saw this both trying to humanize Woody. I was going to say Woody Harrelson.
Fucking slanderous.
And but it's this point that Billy Crystal, we're trying to kind of paint Woody Allen in a more human light, but this is when Billy Crystal realizes he can't be reasoned with. As long as this grey matter is in his head, there's no possibility of reform, and that's when he busts out the shades of leather jacket, is pursuing this motherfucker on a motorbike and a 12 gauge.
I thought you were going to say something about them removing Woody Allen to save the tumor.
We go through the scene.
This tumor's had a normal sexual appetite for its entire life, and then it started being
Woody
grown
Allen
into by Woody Allen's brain.
His spindly fingers keep finding its way inside 8-year-olds. What's going on here?
Poor tumor. He didn't do anything wrong. Poor tumor. Poor tumor.
So the sequel is Billy and the Tumor.
The sequel is when Harry Met Sally get shrunk down and get placed inside Woody Allen's brain so that they can use their microscopic ship and guns and everything to fight off Woody Allen's body and save the tumor.
Right. All right. So this is now Osmosis.
And it ends up with, he's on an operating table. It ends up with like nothing but this tumor on this operating table. And then the end, as the credits go up, it's this tumor, and it's like the first shot is like, it's wearing a mortarboard. It's got a diploma, and then you see it's like the tumor's wearing a like doctor's gown, and then oh wow, that looks like it must be Africa. Oh, he's gone to Africa. Oh, that's nice. And then this tumor makes a huge difference.
Well, yeah,
And
we watched the lifespan of this tumor as it grows up. Suddenly sprouts one big eyeball, and you know what? That's Monsters, Inc.
That's right. That's right. And then Sully is Sally.
There we go. When Harry met Sully, it writes itself. All right. So. All right, to get inside Woody Allen, right? You said they need to be shrunk down. This is when we get Rick Moranis in and his terrible fucking devices, right? So we've got Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it's obviously Osmosis Jones now, but we can't get Woody Allen to work anymore. So they take they reconstitute all the footage of Bill Murray going fucking apeshit. They just CGI Woody Allen's face while he's doing his wacky antics. Well, we've got...
It has to be Bill Murray's face. They can't just recreate that or anything. Like Bill Murray's in Osmosis Jones for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, and that's when we slap Woody I was going to say Woody Harrelson's face on it. I take your pick. I'd easily watch Woody Harrelson. I wouldn't tar him with the same brush as Woody Allen, but there you go. Similar enough names for me in my head.
Woody Harrelson and Woody from Toy Story team up to hunt down Woody Allen
The three Woodies.
in the Battle of the Woodies. The tagline is, "We don't like that he has the same name as us." Yeah. Well, I mentioned Woody. Aren't you going to say something about Woody flying up someone's arse? Do you even remember that?
Bits of it. I remember a human Sentai Woody or something like that we talked about for a while.
Yeah, that was the second episode of the George Rockall-Schmidt show, which I wrongly said this podcast is.
The same difference.
You didn't correct me. That was the second episode, and I knew, as soon as you said that, even though I was going to cut it down, that's it. That's the evangelicals gone.
Oh, actually, one thing's brief, very quickly at the airport. Going through security, they were unpacking someone's fucking bags and checking it in this out, and they were saying, "Do you have any?"
There was
They were trying to. I didn't get all of the conversation, but they're packing everything back up, and obviously the question was, "Do you have any trousers?" And I heard 9 Hosen, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Oh man!
Do you have any trousers?
9 Hosen, no trousers, just pants.
Something doesn't make any sense about this bag search. Yeah, he doesn't have any drugs, but he also doesn't have any pants. What sort of good German goes to a foreign country without any spare pants?
He's only going to the UK, for fuck's sake. It's fine. We just won't let him back.
Hosen. So another idea I had was, I call it Collateral Carnage Versus.
Okay.
And starts off and it's a billboard. Oh, but we don't know it's a billboard because the camera's moving in or out, whatever. Oh, and people look happy on the billboard. It's for cars or something. Then, oh, camera pans. Oh, things look a bit shit. Ooh, that's a harsh filter. And what's this? The back of a cop car hiding behind this billboard. Relevant. Camera moves in, and we go through the back of the window via magic. And what it is a cop car, like a highway patrol car, and behind the wheel is RoboCop, and to the left is Terminator. I'm talking about Terminator T-1000 without the flesh. It's not Arnold, it's the skeleton Terminator.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Right? And they're just watching, and nothing's happening, and then they hear this like clattering. You can hear this clattering growing, and then like even though they're watching a highway, it's this station wagon with like the wood paneling on it, and it's going at like 15 miles an hour, and at the wheel with the window rolled down with his elbow out of the window doing the Luigi death stare, it's Michael Myers.
Okay.
Right, and in the back it's Freddy Krueger and Jason, and they're like fighting over Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and there's like Doritos flying everywhere. But Michael Myers is like doing the death stare at the cops, and as the car goes past the billboard, you can see that like it's trailing like all this like washing line and like bits of other cars, and like there's like bits of like arms and like all this blood everywhere over the car, and RoboCop and Terminator just watch this car slowly go past them with Michael Myers staring at them, and then Michael Myers begins to speed up, and that's when RoboCop hits the gas as simultaneously Terminator puts on the sirens. Boom, credits. The whole movie is Michael Myers trying to escape from Terminator and RoboCop on the highway as they hunt him down with no regard to anyone else's life.
Right, okay. Does it end Thelma and Louise styling? Drives off into a gorge.
I'm actually thinking maybe only the first half is them on the highway, and then the second half is like
having
Michael
them being
Myers,
apprehended.
Freddy and Jason doing like a Three Stooges thing, but being like mercilessly hunted by RoboCop. Like Terminator's just he doesn't talk, Terminator. He's just chilling in the back, in the car, in the shotgun in the car mostly. RoboCop's the one like questioning people, like going to motels and like, have you seen these 3 serial killers? And he can't be subtle at all. So they're always like, oh shit, he's here, and have to take off. And it's basically a road trip, but that.
The second half is just a series of like skits, basically, where you see the 3 of them just what, like working bakeries, washing windows, and then it's like if they go near like like any kind of corner, you see a dustbin, like Robocop just jumps out. Surprise, cockface! It's like,
you can have a bit where they're like they realise that this is hell because like Freddy Krueger goes to sleep and envisions himself like in 20 years and
he's got
like grey hair and he lives in like Mexico and he's watching his first daughter getting married and it's a happy day, and then he can hear a siren in the distance and just for a minute it could be Robocop. But it isn't, but just that terror convinces him.
He just hears
to get
very
caught
quietly in the distance, "You'll be directed to a rape crisis center." I was like, fuck!
You have committed a vehicular infraction. Like gunning people who are in the way down. Like, and it just arrests with, it ends up with all three getting arrested for, like, dangerous driving.
Yeah, there's no bloodbath or anything like that. The last half an hour is just being slowly processed and left in, in the drunk tank because of overcrowding.
It becomes
really anticlimactic.
Really nitpicky procedural where you can tell a lot of research has gone into exactly what they would be booked with. Exactly, how long would they be waiting in that room for? Then what happens? Do they get fingerprinted first? Do they get their photo taken first? How does it actually go down?
Freddy Krueger's there just trying
Terminator
to bust someone's
and Robocop
balls.
aren't in that bit.
He's trying to, he's like, "Where's my fucking damn phone call?" And no one's listening to him. Falls on deaf ears. It's terrible. Going through...
Right, yeah, it says that, and Robocop's like, "I'll see what I can do," and turns around, and then Terminator for the first time speaks and says, "Where's your phone call? This is America," and just starts smacking him. And then Terminator comes back, and Terminator's got, Robocop comes back, and Robocop's got like an armful of like cheeseburgers for them, and he sees like Freddy Krueger like with his nose like completely busted open, and Terminator there like stood over him, and then Terminator looks at Robocop and says, "He fell." And Robocop's like, "Oh." Robocop is incapable of detecting Terminator lying or not. I think that's part of it. Robocop's doing all this shit. Like, can we stop here? Not Robocop. Terminator's doing all this shit. Like, can we stop here? And then clearly goes up to an apartment, not his wife's apartment, and bangs some lady and comes down. Robocop's like, "What was that all about?" Terminator's like, "That's my sister." Robocop knows that shouldn't be true, but just can't accept it.
Because they were clearly banging.
Clearly, yeah. But he says it was his sister. Terminator couldn't lie.
Machines don't lie.
Yeah, so what do you think?
Oh, I'm supposed to rate this. On what scale would you like me to rate this?
What would you give it me out of Pro Jared?
I give it a yes out of maybe.
Cool. That's a top-heavy fraction.
It's non-divisible.
Or, how else would we say that, Damien? 2 maybes, sir. That's right. 1 yes is 2 maybes.
Excellent. Excellent.
And remember, you can have all the no's in the world, it will always be a no. But if you have all the no's and 1 maybe, that's when it becomes positive. That's when you get a 0 point maybe.
What's happening?
Didn't we used to do this all the time where I would just get more insane as it went on?
Yeah, I believe that's the kind of formula, is it not? I feel I've been less crazy of late, Damien. I've needed to kind of flex a little bit today.
Damien, poor people are crazy. I am crazed.
Okay. I don't understand the difference, but I'm sure to your twisted logic it makes perfectly sense.
I just mean that like crazy is more passive.
I'm definitely on the active side of that.
Yeah, I think like the full word might be more encrazed. What was it they used to say in Pokemon? Like you could stun things and knock things out, and wasn't it like Morbo has been encrazed or something? It wasn't encrazed, but it was something like that.
I think you had maybe enraged or something like that.
Yeah, that's what happens when you fight animals, I guess.
That or you just get frightened.
Pikachu has become frightened.
The slap tickler is now frightened and that will refuse to tackle.
The slap tickler is what you called every Pokemon in your Pokeball Dex thing, isn't it? Everyone, all the same name.
It was always Dick Fart. Dick Fart has fainted. What will you do now? Go, Dick Fart! Damien is out of usable Dick Farts. Damien has whited out.
He's ODing. Well, good. Well, yeah, they're my ideas. I mean, I guess you can mash up anything. You know, it's a very lazy thing to do. Welcome to the
Which is why we're
podcast
going to do it
that I
next
can't
week
remember
as
the name
well.
of. I mean, probably. You know,
It's all a variation.
someone suggested doing. I don't know if we could really do a podcast on it, but someone did suggest Mau Mau and Swash the movie. What would that be like? Maybe you should think on that.
Okay, yeah. We'll play around with that next time, I suppose, yeah?
Yes. We should do another one of those, but probably when we're actually in the same room.
Yeah.
So we can smoke cigars, and I can force you to smoke cigars.
But
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it cigars? Because I just remember cigarettes for the most part. It doesn't matter. Cigars are fine.
I think I had quite a few cigars, and I think we went through them like very quickly. And at some point, we were both like, for the sake of the cigars and my lungs,
Let's stop.
can we switch to cigarettes? Yeah, we can change and smoke cigarettes, no problem.
Yeah. Oh no, George, I must go to the hospital. I think I'm being slack-cocked. He was never allowed to grill again. By order of the Queen, he was on salad duty.
Yeah. Have you seen any TV or anything? People will be interested in that. I've been watching The X-Files. That's what you named your dog after, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Dana, yeah.
No, X-Files.
X-Files. Well, I guess we're done on this bollocks. I'm sorry, everyone.
Well, I mean, I had a fair bit of fun this evening, so if nothing else. If no one else.
Yeah. You know, like when people talk about like shows they've watched or podcasts they've listened to or like comedians they've watched, like the best praise I've ever heard is when people say, yeah, they appear to be having fun.
At least someone.
How was that show you went to see? I mean, the actors in it, you know, they you know, that it's a living for them, isn't it? So, you know.
Good to see people working.
They performed. You know, good, yeah.
Best Boy's
Please
obviously
donate
got his shit together.
To Damien's GoFundMe. All right, well, I guess we're done. If you are.
Yeah. That was a show good, Frasier.
Oh, we didn't mention Frasier.